Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm G.
Alright, here we are on our week of Halloween build-up week.
Yeah, scary, ghoulish
stories we'll be focusing on, so you get a few of these this week. This is a new channel we're trying called Whispered Diaries, so if you're into your horror stories, head over there, like and subscribe as well. And we're going to get into 3 terrifying true food delivery horror stories. Now, when you think about it, you're putting a lot of risk in someone coming to your door.
Yeah, you are.
I don't know if you noticed this the other day. Right, we got in the elevator at home to go up to our and there was a receipt on the side.
Yeah.
For someone who'd had a food delivery made from I think Just Eat or someone like that. And you were looking at it, see what someone had ordered, being nosy.
Yeah.
Now I glanced, when you put it back on the side, I glanced at it, and I don't know if you noticed, it said on it, no delivery address available for this.
Really?
Yeah. Now, when I've seen this now, I'm thinking, I wonder if that's what they've got in their mind. I'll just come to the building and I'll meet you outside the building.
Yeah.
Give me a code type thing.
Yeah.
But it said on it, no delivery address available.
Well, when you think about it, you don't want people to know where you live.
No.
Because I always go down to get the food, so why do they need to know where I live?
Well, they need to know where to bring it to. You just need to know the name of your building.
Yeah, but my full address is on there.
Yeah.
I'm
My
gonna
full
take it
address
out
on
now.
that. What are they going to do?
They can come up and get me.
Yeah,
Kidnap me.
this is what this might be. Because food delivery drivers sometimes can be a bit odd.
Yeah.
We've heard some stories from people have told us from around the world, haven't they, what's happened to them.
Yeah.
But here we go, and let's get into it. 3 terrifying true food delivery horror stories.
I work mid-shifts at my job, usually being home around 6 or 7. This night, I had stayed an extra hour to get some overtime pay, so I got home late. Right when I got home, I curled up on my couch, trying to figure out what to eat for dinner. I was too tired and didn't feel like cooking, so I decided to order in. I found a new restaurant that had good reviews and placed an order for a sandwich and fries. The delivery estimate said it would take 30 minutes, so I settled in to wait. As the time ticked by, I started to get a little annoyed. It was already almost 9 o'clock, and the food was supposed to have arrived 20 minutes ago. I checked the app, and it said the driver had picked up the food from the restaurant a half hour ago. That only made me more frustrated, knowing the food was going to be late and cold. Finally, there was a knock at the door. I jumped up from the couch and rushed to answer it. When I opened the door, there was a man standing there, holding a bag of food. "Delivery for Emily?" he said. I nodded and took the bag from him. "Thanks," I said, but he didn't say anything else. He just stood there. I shut the door before it got too awkward, and then took the bag into the kitchen. The sandwich was terrible, having a really strange taste, and the fries were just cold. After taking a few bites, I tossed the rest and just went back to the couch. I started to feel really tired. I was yawning and my eyes were heavy, so I decided to go to bed early. As I was getting ready for bed though, I saw a light shining outside my bedroom window. I peeked outside, seeing it was coming from the front of the house, but then it turned off. My bedroom window didn't have a good view of the front, so I couldn't see what it was. Being so tired, I shrugged it off as one of my neighbors coming home, but as I brushed my teeth and got ready, I felt like maybe I should just check to be sure. It was just a strange feeling I had about it. I walked to the front of the house and looked out the peephole. There was a car in my driveway, and after a second, I recognized it as the delivery guy's car that I saw when I opened the door earlier. I couldn't see if he was inside the car or not, but when I went to open the door for a better view, I realized it was unlocked. My heart stopped for a second, unsure if I'd forgotten to lock it when I grabbed the food from him. I kept the door shut, locking it and continuing.
Now you don't know if he's inside or outside.
That's what I mean.
The door's unlocked as he come in.
Yeah.
I left the door unlocked.
And how's he unlocked it? Or
She's maybe not unlocked it, locked it. But you don't know if he's inside or outside.
No.
You don't know if he's in the kitchen or under your bed now.
I hate stuff like this.
Yeah.
Going to look out the peephole, but the longer I looked, the more sure I was that nobody was in the car. Then I heard something behind me. The floorboard creaking at the end of the hallway. I turned and saw the delivery guy standing inside my house in the doorway by the kitchen. What made it even more creepy and confusing was that he looked surprised, like he didn't expect to see me. He still didn't say anything. He just stood there like a deer in headlights.
He's probably thought that he's drugged her and she's probably going to be out cold.
Yeah.
And he probably wants to have his way with her. And
Yeah.
he don't expect her to still be awake.
Yeah, that's if he has drugged her. But the only thing when he said the sandwich tasted real bad, I'm thinking, I wonder if he's been messed around with, sabotaged.
It's took him so long to get there.
Yeah.
He turned and rushed to the back door, leaving it open as he ran around the house and got in his car. I called the police as he pulled away, but I wish I had tried to get his license plate first. The guy of course used fake information for the delivery app and had only done a few previous deliveries. I have a lot of ideas as to what may have happened, but none of them can be confirmed. I think he waited for me to close the door before walking away so he could hear if I locked it or not. Also, he may have put something in my food to make it taste weird, maybe a sleeping drug, but since I barely ate any of it, it didn't have much of an effect. I don't know, these are all just guesses, but it seemed really strange that he looked so surprised to see me. Who knows, maybe if I had eaten all of the food, or gone to bed a couple minutes earlier, then I wouldn't be here today to share this encounter.
True that.
Yeah.
How close to the end you could be.
I was watching another one of these, and it was a similar one where it was a young girl who was babysitting for 5 children, and she'd been working a 10-hour shift because they were both doctors, and the mum had ordered pizza to be delivered to the house, and when she opened the door, he said, when it's over a certain amount, we have to get a signature now because a lot of people are complaining they don't get food. So she went, oh, okay. She went to try and find a pen. Took her a minute. She shouted, sorry, I'll be there in a minute. She got the pen, went back, and he wasn't there. So she panicked, thought maybe he'd gone to the toilet. She looked in the toilet, he wasn't there. She looked downstairs, but she didn't want to alert the children. So when she checked the downstairs and couldn't see him, she started to go upstairs, and she went upstairs, looked around, couldn't see him, and then as she was walking back out, he grabbed her by the throat and covered her mouth, and he was robbing her. He was saying load up. He had a bag. He was like load up the. Wow. But he said don't scream. She let go of the mouth, and she screamed, and then he covered her again and pushed her down on the bed and said don't scream. But one of the kids, the older kids, had heard it and had called 911. So as he was trying to get her to put all this stuff in the bag, the police arrived. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You never know how close you are from the end.
I know.
It was a rainy night, and I had just finished dropping off an order at a small local home. I was tired and ready to call in for the night, but then I received a notification for another delivery. I hesitated for a moment, wondering if I should just head home and skip it, but I needed the extra cash, and the order was only a couple minutes out of the way. I quickly picked up their food and typed their address in. It looked to be in a normal neighborhood, though in a part of town that I never really drove through. As I drove down the road toward the house, the only sound were the raindrops against the windshield and the hum of my car's engine. No other cars were out, likely due to the heavy rain, but it gave me a strange feeling. When I finally arrived at the house, I was taken back by how it looked. The paint was peeling, the windows were boarded up, and the front yard was overgrown with weeds. I looked down at their neighbors' homes, and they all looked normal. It was just this one house that looked like this. I stayed in the car and searched the address up again, making sure I had the right place. It seemed to be right, so I took a deep breath and approached the front door.
I'd call them. Food's outside, mate.
I put the food down and took a picture, and knocked on the door just before stepping away. But just seconds after I knocked, the door creaked open, revealing a woman. She had unkempt hair and had a disheveled appearance, with dark circles under her eyes, looking like she hadn't slept in days. To be honest, she matched the way the house looked, so I wasn't too surprised. But then my eyes moved past her. The inside of the home looked empty and trashed. No furniture or anything, just garbage. The woman noticed me looking and stared at me, expressionless.
"Just dropping off your food. Have a great night,"
I said, trying to act normal. I started walking back, but through the heavy rain, I heard another voice. I looked over my shoulder at the house again and saw a man standing at the side. He was watching me, as if making sure I was leaving. I hurried back to my car and got in, looking back at the house one more time before getting my keys out and turning it on. I put it in drive and pressed on the gas, but my car didn't move. It jolted forward and stopped, making an awful scraping sound. I could tell that it was something with my back wheel, blocking it from moving correctly. I turned to open my door, but a man stood right at my window, looking down at me. I let out a short gasp and jumped back, not having noticed him walking up. He knocked on my window.
This is one of them stories where you think, wonder where this is, and someone says like, oh, it's in like, don't know, it can't be like New Jersey or New York or Connecticut, and then someone says, no, this was in like South Dakota. You go, oh, okay,
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. You kind of like accept it.
Yeah.
I was frozen, trying to decide on what to do. I looked at him again, and he was still staring at me, but the expression on his face was darkening. Then I heard a subtle thump, like he tried to discreetly check if the door was locked. I made a sudden decision to slam on the gas, jolting the car forward again, but this time it broke through, and I heard something metal hit the ground as my car was released. The man slammed against the car, trying to grab on or something as I drove away. Once I got home, I called the cops, but it was already pretty obvious what happened. The house was vacant, and it was some sort of scheme the woman and the man had set up. Maybe just to rob me, or possibly worse. Neither of them were ever found, but the cops picked up a bent metal pipe from the side of the road, looking like some sort of makeshift wheel lock. I don't know what their intentions were, but I'm lucky to have gotten out when I did.
Risky.
That's why these apps you have to pay before they do the delivery, because there were so many people that was like ordering, say, a pizza and then they had to pay there and then.
Yeah, that's. I think just modernisation has changed that. I don't think that has anything to do with creepy people that are doing that. I don't think it has anything to do with robberies and stuff. I mean, I know you could be right that they're robbing the delivery guys. That's why taxis don't take cash anymore.
Yeah.
You know, with Uber, there's no cash. It's all paid to. They're not driving. They're not vulnerable to sort of drive around to get robbed. But I think with some of these things, you sometimes think about the delivery driver, how much, the person you're delivering to, how much risk they're in, but then you think about how much risk the delivery driver's putting himself in as well. Yeah. There's a lot of jobs where they're putting themselves at high risk. Taxi drivers, I always think. Yeah. You're putting yourself at high risk sometimes. Yeah, just never know who's going to get in.
At least have the,
have the partition. But some of the Ubers don't have anything like that. No. And you just open yourself sometimes to an issue. Yeah.
I drive for Postmates 3 to 4 days a week, depending on my other work schedule. Delivery driving is my relaxing side job that I do to help pay for extra things I want, like vacations or clothes, while my other job pays for my more necessary bills, like rent. So I never take delivery driving too seriously. I just go about it, and if I don't end up making a lot of money one night, it's no big deal. On this day, I started right when I got out of work, around 8. By 10, I had actually made a decent amount of cash, more than most nights. Although I'd usually stop around this time, why call it quits when I was doing well? I decided to keep going until I either got too tired or the orders stopped coming in. I accepted the next order and continued to the restaurant. It was a medium-sized order from Wendy's, with a regular tip, nothing uncommon. I drove through and picked it up, then clicked start route on my phone to give me directions to the customer's house. Except it wasn't to a house. It was a GPS location set near a grocery store 15 minutes away. I'd had plenty of deliveries ordered to grocery stores or other places of work from the employees, but it was only odd because they didn't put the store as the address. They used an exact location instead. Anyway, I started the drive up there. When I got to the parking lot by the grocery store, I noticed it was empty. I pulled right up to the front and parked, then got out with the food. I took a look around, but was pretty sure the store was closed. I texted the customer, letting them know I was at the store. They replied right away, saying they were around the building in the back, and that I should see them right when I rounded the corner. I was definitely skeptical, but I got back in my car and drove around the store. There didn't seem to be anything there, just a couple parked cars in the far back by one of the other stores. I stopped and looked, but still didn't see anyone. This was when I started to get a really uneasy feeling. I was thinking this may not be worth it, and put the car back in drive, but then my phone started buzzing.
Hey, we're coming up right now. Be there in just a minute.
A man said, hanging up right after. I looked around again, feeling even more uncomfortable. Something just wasn't sitting right with me. I made a short U-turn and started to go back the way I came, until someone ran in front of my car, holding their hands out in a stop motion. I braked, and they came up to my window.
Hey, you have my order?
I grabbed the bag and rolled down the window, handing it to him, but he didn't take it. I felt dumb, holding the bag out while he just looked at me. Then I heard a quiet footstep from the other side of the car, before the back door suddenly swung open.
Oh, I've been driving by now.
Yeah.
I dropped the bag outside the window and floored it, as the guy by my window yelled at me to stop. I guess whoever was at the back door had jumped into my car as I pulled away. He reached forward, trying to shift my car into park, but after failing a few times, he jumped out of the moving car onto the pavement. I saw him get up and both of them running away as I turned the corner and got out of there. The police were of no help, saying they would do what they could, but never giving me any updates. I was stupid to have fallen for their trap, but I don't think I was the only one. Doing some research, just 2 weeks before my incident, a delivery driver went missing during an active delivery in a nearby town. There were no leads on what happened, as the driver's car was never found either. I think this might have been those same two men doing something terrible that I can't even begin to imagine.
Wow. Some
Weird
like,
people.
yeah, it's scary. It's a scary world out there when you
Yes.
think about things, and it's you look at how many times you put yourself in bad danger.
Well, you had a friend whose was it his mum that was reversing at the spot when somebody said,
Yeah.
"Do you want to tell that story?"
Yeah, I had a friend she was parked outside the in
the
a
train
supermarket. It's in a supermarket, and someone said, "Can you help me?"
They were in a tight spot, weren't they?
Yeah, they're in a tight spot. I'm trying to remember the full sort of
I
like.
think they said, "Can you help me get out?" So she was.
Oh no! What happened was he turned up with a briefcase. He had a briefcase in his hand, sort of thing, and he turned up to the supermarket where he was, and come out and he says, "I need a ride to my car," or something like that. And I'm running late for my train or something like that, or to get her in the. He was looking for a ride. This is before we had any issues. I'm going back to the 80s here.
Yeah.
And they were what had happened was she got him in the car. When he got in the car, he was all dressed in a suit. He looked like he said he was a doctor or something. He had a doctor's briefcase and all that. And when they got in the car, she realised what a mistake she'd made letting someone get in a car with her. So she said, "It's a tight spot. Can you just jump out and back me out and just guide me out?" So he jumped out, guided her out, she pissed off. And she drove to the police station to explain that she didn't want to have the bag with her or whatever.
Yeah.
And when he went, they opened the bag and there was like was a hammer in the bag or something, wasn't it?
In there was just one, just a hammer.
Yeah. So she was, I think she, again, probably a lucky escape.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of you hear a lot of stories where people tell of close encounters. And many times I've been walking home. I've said this before, where you're walking home from the pub late at night and you're walking down dark. I'm one of the. What do you remember? Say it was a scary story when I walked through Bluebell Woods.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stories going on about these woods that I used to pass them on the way home from school. So when we'd finished school at like 4 o'clock or whatever, it was dark in the UK at 4 o'clock in the winter time. And I remember walking through the woods, and there was a trail, and some guy just stepped out in front of me and just sort of like stared at me, and I just sort of like stared at him back, and I was like, nope, I ain't going that way. Yeah. I just turned around and went back the other way. And then the next day they found like all remains of like sheep and stuff like that. It was like some kind of like crucifixion of like, I don't know what it was, but it was there was a lot of stories going on in the woods anyway. And people used to say, don't go through there. But it was a shortcut for me on the way home from school, sort of thing. So I had to cut through. But after that, I did not walk around.
No.
There was definitely after that one, I was like, nope, not having any of that.
No, I've had weird things happen.
You just never know when it's your time. You just people watching you, and you just don't know. But it's
there's a lot of lunatics out there.
So enjoy that video tonight, and if you're getting food delivery, you know what
Keep
to
your
do.
foot behind the door.
Yeah, exactly. Just shout through the letterbox. Leave it on the step. I'll get it. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Cheers.